What's up, guys? I've been getting a lot of requests for Toukiden footage. Pretty much the entire time I was at Fanime, when I was not hanging out with my friends or doing something, I was playing this game. So I have to admit, I am a little burnt out. I played probably a good like 20-30 hours of this over the course of the con, just waiting for friends to show up and just random shit like that. It was also my only smart device, so while I was charging, it was kind of less boring to just sit there and hunt. But I wanted to show some of the builds that I have. This is one that I stole off GameFAQs. I take no credit for this whatsoever. I actually made a Divine Fox Kusarigama just yesterday, actually. I'm not very good with the weapon. I'm not really up to recording with it yet. If you didn't play the first Toukiden, this weapon was pretty, I guess, not good, to put it nicely. You needed to have like the most optimized build to compete with the other weapons in the game. Whereas here, the combination of the buffs, the different combinations of matamas you can use, the new abilities that they added, make it pretty viable. This particular build is basically based around just building meter. It's very similar to like playing something like Marvel and having a character like Cyclops who can just do like jump roundhouse super jumps or Storm running away to build meter. This build is pretty much just centered around using your agility charm, using your air triangle string to build a metric ass ton of meter and just using it as much as possible. Obviously in this game, you can't actually damage a monster or a large Oni until you either break their part or they get enraged. So just that alone can really speed up the pace of a battle, but you have to be pretty good with the weapon. You definitely be going through your agility stocks pretty fast, simply because you're going to be spending so much time in the air, and the Kusarigama doesn't really have any defensive capabilities in the air aside from just hoping that your chain and sickle propels you away from the attack. As you can see, there's 3 expert destroyers, which obviously gives you a pretty ridiculous amount of meter. You can get a full destroyer meter from empty in like a couple seconds if you get lucky. It's also double swordsmanship, actually triple swordsmanship. More damage with a crit. Obviously you're going to want a Divine Fox weapon for that. I have not made a Divine Fox set of knives yet, but I imagine this would work just as well. This build doesn't really have anything that particularly pertains to a chain and sickle exclusively. You could probably get away with using this with a Naginata, but it's a little slower. Obviously the knives and the Kusarigama are a lot faster in the air than the Naginata is, and the Naginata also can't gain altitudes. I'll probably have to do some testing with that. I will post the links in the description to the places where you can find these matamas. Ideally, the best way to find a matama is to just use the infinite missions. The infinite missions take place in the surrounds area, which means if you fight a monster there, there's a chance that they can drop a matama from any particular area in the game. Also, the drop rate is pretty significantly increased. If you start doing the special missions and the infinite missions as early as possible, you get a pretty nice arsenal of matamas to use. Let me go ahead and change to my Naginata here. Now this build, I partially stole, I partially made my own build. This is a pretty standard Vigor build. You get Moto Chika here. Pretty much everything he has is based on Vigor. You get an extra Vigor stock. You get more attack speed while using Vigor. If you're using the Naginata and you're using the Frenzy, or the Flurry, whatever it's called, it's pretty slow unless you have this. I recommend using this over Falling Petals because Falling Petals isn't really on that many matamas. It's hard to make a optimized build around it just because they just added that weapon in this game. I imagine in the next game it'll probably be easier, but the main meat of this is this build, this ability right here, Vigor plus Destroy. This makes it so if you have Vigor active, or sometimes if you don't have it active, I'm not really quite sure how it works. If you land a destroyer and it takes off a part, there's a chance that you'll get one of your Vigor stocks back. This is pretty good for multi-demon missions. You can even run this in like a infinite mission or special mission scenario, just because you won't have to rely on the prayer stones as much to refill your stocks. Agility plus duel. You can switch this out with other things if you want. It kind of just depends. Vigor plus special can be pretty good as well, but it really depends on your preference. Agility plus duel can save your life on ultimate missions. On ultimate missions, you know, the monsters attack very often. They're not like Dynasty Warriors peons. They're pretty much always in your face. It can actually help. This essentially gives you about 20 times you can get hit without actually taking damage. I like to go with this for safety, but you can also go with Vigor Wraith or Vigor Special. Yoshitsune is pretty much standard. He's pretty much the cookie cutter Matama. He's definitely one of the better Matamas in the game from what I found. I've still got about 60 to go, but this is a pretty standard build. Devastation, Swordmanship, Expert Destroyer. This will work with anything that can attack fast. Izanagi, this is like my own little personal, I guess, touch to this build, you could say. He has Fervor, which is pretty good, you know, for crits and stuff. Hero's Rally, which will allow you to get your skills back faster. Although you can kind of burn through them a lot faster with this, so it's kind of a matter of preference. You know, you can burn through your agility stocks like in the first like couple minutes of a mission if you're not careful if you have this on, especially if you're running like a Divine Fox weapon, which has the highest crit rate in the game. The rest is pretty standard. Vigor Plus, you know, plus 10 seconds. Makes it last longer, makes it a little easier to get your Vigor Destroy buff off, and Vigor Special increases the damage you inflict. This would work the best with probably the knives, the knuckles, or the Naginata. I don't think it would work too well with the other weapons. I've noticed it's a pretty significant damage boost. It's just be ready to button mash if you're using the Naginata, since you know you can't just hold it down. I have a couple other builds here. A lot of these are ones that I used really early on. Oops. Now this is one that is mostly used for enemies with lots of parts. If you're fighting something like the Manhunter, the Sable Blade, any of the Propterix family, this build works really great. If you're not using that, it's much too situational in my taste. It's basically all based around just using your breakers, you know, making sure that you have the abilities stacking and stuff, all the buffs and everything. As you can see, it increases attack strength even further when attacking Oni or destroying body parts when using the Plunder battle style. You also have Breaker Plus. Extends Breaker by 15 seconds after slaying an Oni or severing an Oni's body part. Ideally, if you're fighting something like the Manhunter, where all its parts are very easily accessible, you can pretty much lock it in an endless OTG combo. If you're fighting something where the parts are not as accessible, I really don't recommend using this. It's really not really good for anything with more than one Oni at once. Definitely not suited for like an infinite mission or something. It's much too situational. You also need the Love Blade Oshichi or whatever stun weapon you can get for your respective category. I think I've got one more here. This is pretty much the same thing. You just have Oishi Kuronosuke here. I forget what he has. Devastation, Heroes Rally, and Verity. Pretty standard stuff, nothing really particular, and this is pretty much a cookie cutter build. But yeah, I know you guys wanted to see some footage. I will probably be doing some videos of these builds put to the maximum test once I get a little better. I want to do a chain and sickle and a knife video, but I need to make the weapon, and the grind for that is pretty strong. So hopefully by the time you see this, I will have that ready for you guys. If you have any questions, you can get me up. I'll go ahead and post some links to the resources in the description if you want those. You know, we're a small community playing this game. It's not as big as Monster Hunter. If you want to play the game seriously at all, you're pretty much going to need to look at those resources, because in typical hunting game fashion, this game doesn't really explain anything. You know, if you want to look for the Matamas in general, I recommend doing the infinite and special missions so that you have a higher chance, and you're more likely to get at least something from finishing it. It won't be completely fruitless, you know, instead of just hunting one particular mission to get one Matama, you know, at least you can walk out with like 2 or 3 more. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope this satisfies all the people who want more Toukiden footage. I am a little burnt out, but we'll see what happens. Peace.